So why do you want to purchase an airbrush? They can be really difficult to learn how to use, but they can also be extremely versatile. And it's no secret that I love the airbrush. So in this video, I want to share with you a few key points and demonstrate why I think you should buy an airbrush. Let's get into it right now. So airbrushes come in two different types, single action and double action, which is what I'm holding here. Double action means that you press down for air and then you pull back for paint. Single action, you press down and you get paint and air at the same time, and usually they have like a little dial on the front which you can adjust the amount of paint that will come out. Depending on what you want to do with the airbrush, I recommend that you go for a double action. That said, single actions definitely have their place. So just do some research and figure out what's going to work best for you. Keep in mind, single action is a lot easier to get the feel for to start with. Double action will take a lot longer to learn how to use, but I'm sure if you follow along with our videos, I'll link up to some of those in the description below, then you should be able to get the feel for a double action airbrush in no time. So the first thing you notice with a pencil and a brush is that you're touching the surface, whereas with an airbrush, you're essentially hovering from the surface, which makes it a lot harder to firstly get into the hobby, but it also brings a few benefits. If you're wanting to do, say, cake decorating, or you want to body paint, well then airbrushing's a lot better. Even though you can use a brush for body painting, it's a lot more hygienic to use an airbrush, and obviously same for cake decorating. And doing blends with an airbrush, like just soft tones, or if you want to shade something quickly and make it look a bit more three-dimensional, you can see how quickly that can be done with an airbrush once you get the feel for it. Obviously you could do the same thing with a brush, but you'd have to be a lot more skilled with the brush, and it may take a lot longer than using the airbrush, which makes it so much easier to do really soft blends. You could also use things like paper templates, which can give you a nice harsh edge. And you can make all sorts of patterns really easily. Plus you can also grab that paper template and move it around for a softer effect and scrunch it up. This would work better with a paper towel, and use it to create some clouds and all sorts of effects very easily and really quickly. You can also use freehand templates like this, which are made from a mylar, so they're solvent proof, but a good way to clean them is to use just a glass cleaner with the ammonia, and that'll get the paint off in no time. If these sort of things work great if you just want a real basic effect, lay that down on your surface. You could even mask up a section and then just blend it. You could do a heavier fade at the top, fading down. Now I'm going to get some overspray around the edges here, but I'm not too concerned. And this will show you how far overspray travels. So if you are going to do this and you use a template like this, be sure to mask it up. So mask up around the surface to protect the outside edge so that it remains clean. You can see here how quick and easy that was just to get a nice effect. Again, with something like this, you could move it around, and that's going to give you a bit of a texturing effect. If you lift it up off the surface, again, it'll be softer, so you can get that softer effect. Lay it down flat, and you're going to get a more defined shape like that. You can see here at the top, a bit of overspray because this is on paper, whereas this is a lot neater. So just play around with it, but you can use these sort of templates, which are really helpful to get all sorts of patterns and effects. So you could essentially use something like this in the background, or even use it for your border, and then do some painting around that for your feature artwork. You can also mix up brush with airbrush, so don't be afraid of doing that. If you do your background with an airbrush and then you use the brush for the foreground, it's going to give you that sense of depth, which always looks really cool. The other cool thing is that once you've done a pattern like this, you can use a transparent color like this cerulean blue by Createx Illustration Colors and just dust over the top of it, and it's not going to eliminate the previous tone. You can see we're getting that nice blue color coming through, and this can give you some really cool effects. And you can also blend other colors over the top. This works best if you are using heavily transparent tones, but you can really notice how easy that was to just coat it. So you can get all sorts of different effects. Transparent tones also work really well for blending, and this is what the airbrush does extremely well. So again, using that cerulean blue, just building up a bit of a tone, and I'll fade it out, go a bit heavier at the top, again fading it down. So essentially doing a graduated tone, heavier at the top and then blending out. Another quick tip is if you are going from a color like this, and I'm going to add in a bit of the magenta to add that blend, you don't need to fully clean your airbrush out. I like to just wipe it out a little bit and then blast it out. And you see how much paint is still left in there. So that's the other beauty of an airbrush. It atomizes the paint really fine. So you'll probably notice that a lot of the airbrush paints come in small sizes. Like Trident, for instance, comes in a 10mm, 50mm, 250mm, and only a couple of colors come in 500mm. But by the time you thin them down with their respective reducer, even at a 1:1 ratio, you're getting, say, 20mm of color from a 10mm bottle, and that will go a long way. So I'm not thinning the Createx because I want this to cover a lot better. So I'm just going to blast it out until that magenta comes through, and there we have it. So there's your magenta. You can see it's mixed up a little bit, so it has changed the tone slightly because I've got a little bit of that blue left in there. So you've got to keep that in mind if you are just going to blast it through. If you want a completely clean color, then you need to totally clean your airbrush. But what I'm going to do now is dust over this section here. And again, it'll take a few coats, but we're going to get a bit of a blend through the middle of it. Keeping the air on all the time, so effectively the air is also drying the paint. Plus it allows you to add the tones slowly, so you're not oversaturating the surface. You can see now how I've got a blended tone going from that cerulean blue into the magenta, and we've got that center section here where the two of them mix. So these are only a few benefits of using an airbrush. There's so many more. I mean, you can use airbrushing on such a variety of surfaces, including automotive art. So you've got your Harleys, your cars, boats, planes. You can use it for, like I said, body painting, cake decorating, illustrations. You can do photorealistic artworks. You can also airbrush miniatures and remote control cars, scale models like trains. So you can even just use the airbrush for weathering effects. So it really is endless to the applications that are available to you when you do master the airbrush. You can definitely learn more by also doing our online airbrushing course. That's going to get you up to speed a lot quicker than trying to sift through all of the videos here on our channel. So feel free to check that one out. Link will be in the description below. So to continue your learning, be sure to check out some of the other videos and playlists that I've got listed here. And until next time, go grab your airbrush, do some amazing artwork yourself, and I'll see you again very, very soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.